Welcome back to iReview. The market for high-performance rifles has just experienced a dramatic correction. And we are not talking about entry-level options that struggle to maintain zero. We are looking at cold hammer-forged, match-grade platforms currently sitting in display cases for less than what consumers were paying for stripped lowers just 2 years ago. The 2026 buyer's market is an undeniable reality. A perfect storm of industry overproduction, cooling consumer demand, and a highly saturated secondary market has opened a pricing window that seasoned shooters have not witnessed since before 2020. However, if you have tracked historical market cycles, you know that these corrections are highly volatile. A single negative headline or a sudden policy shift is often all it takes to trigger another aggressive wave of panic buying. That is why today we have curated a definitive list of 11 specific platforms that represent the absolute best price-to-performance ratio currently available. For each rifle we will be analyzing the engineering, a deep dive into the build quality and mechanics that actually impact real-world performance, the hidden costs, identifying proprietary parts, expensive maintenance, or necessary upgrades that most buyers overlook. The market data, accurate real-world pricing based on our tracking of both in-store shelves and online retailers as of this month. Whether you are looking to strategically round out your existing collection or you are investing in your very first centerfire platform, this analysis is engineered around one core principle: maximizing your long-term value per dollar spent. Number 7. Sig Sauer M400 Tread. If you are looking for the exact point where a rifle crosses the line from an entry-level build to a genuinely refined platform, look no further than the Sig Sauer M400 Tread. This isn't just a collection of budget parts slapped together. Sig Sauer actively designed a cohesive system. Under the hood, the Tread brings a lot of mid-tier engineering to the table. It is built around a 16-inch stainless steel barrel, which handles heat and corrosion noticeably better than standard carbon steel. However, the most practical upgrade is the mid-length gas system. Compared to the harsh carbine-length setups typically found on cheaper ARS, this system produces a lower gas pressure spike. Out of the box, the rifle comes highly equipped. You get an ambidextrous safety selector, an M-lock handguard designed to stay cool during strings of fire, and a factory trigger that is a clear step above standard mil-spec. From a practical shooter's perspective, this rifle feels built to run. Because of that mid-length gas system, you get much smoother cycling, less wear on your bolt carrier, and a noticeably softer recoil impulse. When you pair that soft recoil with a trigger that boasts a shorter reset and a crisper break, your follow-up shots become significantly faster and more intuitive. That being said, it does have a couple of annoying quirks. First, the factory 3-pronged flash hider has a habit of ringing like a tuning fork every time you drop the bolt. Second, if you like to customize your rifles, be warned. Sig Sauer uses a proprietary barrel nut. Swapping to a non-Sig Sauer handguard isn't a quick job. It requires a specific wrench and a solid dose of patience. These are minor issues, but they are absolutely worth knowing before you throw your money down. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the M400 Tread truly shines in the current market. These rifles were easily pushing over $1,000. Right now, however, lightly used treads are moving on the secondary market for $650 to $700. That is an exceptional amount of engineering for the money. Furthermore, because it carries the Sig Sauer brand name, its resale value holds up incredibly well, even in a down market, which is a major factor if you care about the long-term value of your investments. Ultimately, the M400 Tread is a remarkably smart buy. It bridges the gap perfectly for the shooter who has outgrown a basic starter AR, but refuses to overpay for a safe queen. You are getting reliability, a refined shooting experience, and strong brand equity at a price point we frankly haven't seen in years. Number 6. Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. If you're looking for a rifle where you don't have to guess about reliability, you need to look at the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2. This platform has been around since the mid-2000s, and it earned its reputation for one simple reason: it just works. Under the hood, Smith & Wesson brings an institutional depth that small builders simply can't match, providing a level of accountability you can trust. Objectively, you are getting a solid setup, a chrome-lined bolt carrier group with a properly staked gas key. That chrome lining is a meaningful upgrade because it extends the bolt's life and makes cleaning dramatically easier, as carbon doesn't bond to it the same way. Furthermore, the barrel features a 1 in 9 twist rate, which is perfectly optimized for the standard 55 grain and 62 grain 5.56 loads you will find at any big box retailer. From a subjective standpoint, this rifle's reliability is legendary. It is well documented across forums, ranges, and duty use that this gun can handle thousands of rounds without cleaning or experiencing failures. Plus, Smith & Wesson backs the rifle up with a lifetime service policy that they actually honor. However, as a personal reality check, you have to accept its limitations out of the box. The layout is very traditional, featuring an A-frame front sight post and plastic clamshell handguards. If you want to mount modern accessories like lights or foregrips, you need to budget another $100 and an afternoon to swap out parts. Additionally, the factory trigger is a standard 6-pound pull. It is totally functional for defensive or range use, but it is definitely not exciting. Where the Sport 2 becomes impossible to ignore is the current pricing. Brand new units are sitting right around $420 to $500. But the real steal is on the secondary market. Used Sport 2s are absolutely everywhere right now, moving for $320 to $400. For a rifle with that kind of proven track record, those numbers are very compelling. It might not be a fancy safe queen with all the latest modular bells and whistles, but if you need a dependable tool that runs consistently out of the box, this represents phenomenal long-term value per dollar spent. Number 5. Aero Precision M5. When you need the reach and hitting power that 5.56 simply can't deliver, it is time to step up to the Aero Precision M5. In the current buyer's market, finding a heavy-hitting platform that balances precision and cost is rare, but Aero manages to hit the sweet spot. At its core, the M5 is an AR-10 platform chambered in .308 Winchester, offering semi-auto speed paired with legitimate 800-yard ballistics. The foundation of this rifle is Aero's enhanced receiver set. Objectively, the engineering shines here. The upper features a handguard mount forged directly into the receiver itself. This creates a monolithic-style rail that absolutely holds zero, even when loaded down with heavy optics or a bipod. The bolt carrier group is specifically built to handle the higher pressures of .308, and it is paired with 4150 chrome moly vanadium barrels that are designed to sustain fire without accuracy degradation. Because Aero Precision is a major OEM supplier for other brands, you can trust that their manufacturing tolerances are incredibly tight. For feeding, it runs on standard SRT-25 pattern magazines like Magpul PMags, which are cheap and available everywhere. Subjectively, shooting the M5 gives you a tremendous sense of capability, but it comes with a harsh reality check regarding the weight. By the time you add a scope, a bipod, and a loaded 20-round magazine, you are pushing 11 to 12 pounds. As a personal takeaway, this is definitely not a mountain gun you want to lug around all day. It is much better suited as a purpose-built precision rig or a stationary hunting setup. Another crucial thing to keep in mind is that the AR-10 platform simply isn't as standardized across the industry as the AR-15. If you plan on tweaking or upgrading it, you must double-check compatibility on any aftermarket parts you buy to avoid headaches. Right now, the value proposition on the secondary market is incredible. Complete used M5 builds are consistently showing up between $750 and $950. For a precision semi-auto rifle chambered in .308, with this level of structural stability and OEM-grade tolerances, that price point is exceptionally hard to beat. If you want to stretch your legs past standard AR-15 distances without spending custom rifle money, this is a phenomenal investment. Number 4. Ruger Mini 14. The Ruger Mini 14 has been in continuous production since 1973, and it has survived every single wave of AR dominance. It sticks around for a very specific reason. It looks like a traditional ranch rifle while performing exactly like a modern semi-auto. Objectively, the mechanics of the Mini 14 are what truly set it apart from the rest of the semi-auto pack. The heart of the rifle is a Garand-style rotating bolt paired with a fixed piston gas system. Unlike a direct impingement AR-15, The Mini 14 doesn't blow hot gas and carbon directly back into the action. Because of this engineering choice, it runs cooler, stays noticeably cleaner, and can go much longer between maintenance sessions. It is also incredibly robust, eating 5.56 NATO, including cheap military surplus, without any hesitation. If you are worried about the older model's known issue of barrel straining under high heat, Ruger addressed that by utilizing thicker, tapered barrels on their newer production runs. Subjectively, the Mini 14 offers a fantastic, robust shooting experience, but its real-world value often goes beyond just pulling the trigger. For shooters living in states with highly restrictive aesthetic regulations, the Mini 14's traditional wood and steel look is a serious practical advantage. It simply doesn't draw the same unwanted attention that a tactical black rifle does. As a personal takeaway, however, you need to factor in the hidden costs before buying into this platform. The real ongoing cost with the Mini 14 is the magazines. They are Ruger proprietary only, which means there is absolutely no AR magazine compatibility, and they will run you $35 to $45 each. That adds up incredibly fast if you like to keep a deep inventory of spares on hand. Let's talk numbers, because the correction here is significant. During the last major supply crunch, these rifles were hitting staggering peaks of $800+. Right now, thanks to the flooded secondary market, used Mini 14s in good shape are landing on racks between $500 and $700. If you value the rugged reliability of a piston system and need that low-profile, classic aesthetic, this is an incredibly solid pickup at today's prices. Number 3. CZ600 Alpha. The current buyer's market is a gold mine for shooters who know what to look for, and the CZ600 Alpha is a perfect example of high-end engineering hiding in plain sight. CZ has been building precision firearms in Europe for over a century, and the 600 Alpha brings that pedigree to an American price point that simply doesn't make sense on paper. The hardware you get for the money punches way above its weight class. The barrel is cold hammer forged using the exact same process found in CZ rifles that cost twice as much. The control system is built around a single-stage trigger that features a clean brake and minimal over-travel. Even better, it is externally adjustable, meaning you don't have to remove the action from the stock to dial it in. Feeding is handled by a detachable box magazine built specifically for extreme conditions, providing reliable feeding well below freezing where cheaper polymer magazines usually choke. The performance is phenomenal right out of the box. The rifle ships with a written sub-MOA accuracy guaranteed directly from the factory. When chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, it consistently prints groups under an inch at 100 yards as long as you do your part with quality factory ammo. From a personal standpoint, the trade-offs are mostly aesthetic and logistical. The functional fiber-reinforced polymer stock definitely splits opinions on looks. Additionally, because the 600 platform is much newer than legacy systems like the Remington 700 or Savage 110, the aftermarket for chassis and accessories is still growing. It is getting better fast, but you have to accept that it is not at that Remington 700 level of infinite customization just yet. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the value becomes undeniable. Early adopters who are upgrading to higher-end CZ models are currently pushing used 600 Alphas onto the secondary market. Right now, you can find them sitting anywhere from $340 to $450 for a guaranteed sub-MOA bolt gun with authentic European manufacturing quality. Those are absolutely outstanding numbers. Number 2. Ruger American. If you are looking for the absolute benchmark of what a budget bolt action should deliver, the Ruger American is the undisputed king. Since its introduction in 2012, it essentially reset the entire category. Objectively, this rifle changed the game by bringing premium features to a working-class price point. The action utilizes a 3-lug bolt with a 70-degree throw, giving you fast cycling and full scope clearance. Underneath, it features Ruger's powered bedding system, integral bedding blocks that securely locate the receiver and free-float the barrel. This specific setup delivers the kind of consistency that used to require expensive custom work. Control is managed by the Marksman adjustable trigger, which you can easily dial from 3 to 5 pounds without needing any special tools beyond what is included in the box. Furthermore, versatility is the true headline here. With over 15 caliber options available, you can configure a Ruger American for anything from hunting coyotes to dropping elk. Subjectively, taking the Ruger American into the field gives you the confidence of a much more expensive rifle, supported by an aftermarket that is second only to the legendary Remington 700. Whether you want to swap stocks, drop in new triggers, or upgrade to a full chassis system, parts are all readily available. However, as a personal reality check, there are a few minor quirks you must accept. Out of the box, new bolts can feel a little rough. It is an easy fix though. If you cycle it a few hundred times or apply some polishing compound, it smooths right out. Additionally, the factory magazines are made of lightweight plastic. They are entirely functional, but it is highly recommended that you invest in some backups just to be safe. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the current market correction becomes wildly apparent. Right now, used Ruger Americans have dipped down to an incredibly accessible $210 to $300. That is the lowest price point we have seen in about 5 years for a rifle with this much inherent versatility. If you need a reliable, highly customizable bolt-action tool that absolutely will not break the bank, you cannot afford to ignore this window. Number 1. Howa 1500. Howa 1500 might just be the best-kept secret in American gun stores right now. Manufactured in Japan, this rifle comes from a company that has been quietly building precision actions for decades. The primary reason it doesn't completely dominate the sales charts is simply a lack of brand recognition. Most buyers reach for names they grew up hearing. However, that market blind spot is exactly your advantage. Objectively, the hardware and engineering on the Howa 1500 are incredibly robust. The action itself is heavily overbuilt, featuring a massive integral recoil lug, a solid one-piece bolt, and 2 locking lugs. Up front, the barrels are cold hammer forged, using the exact same manufacturing process you would typically find in European rifles that retail north of $1,000. The absolute star of the show, however, is the HACT, Howa Actuator Controlled Trigger. This is a 2-stage adjustable unit that breaks remarkably clean and consistent. Competitors generally require $200 in aftermarket parts to achieve the pull weights and crispness that this trigger delivers right out of the box. Furthermore, because the action's dimensions align with common aftermarket specifications, the available chassis and stock options are extensive and actively growing. Subjectively, the superior build quality is immediately obvious the moment you handle the rifle. Straight from the factory, it features one of the best triggers you can buy at any price under $1,000, and sub-MOA accuracy is the expected standard, not the exception. From a personal standpoint, this is a phenomenal foundation because you can build it into virtually anything, from a dedicated lightweight hunter to a heavy-barreled PRS Precision Rifle Series rig. But you do have to accept a couple of trade-offs. That wonderfully overbuilt action inherently makes the 1500 heavier than competitors like the Ruger American or the Tikka T3X. Second, while aftermarket support is fantastic online, you might find that your local big box store doesn't stock Howa parts right on the shelf. Let's talk numbers, because the Howa 1500 routinely outperforms rifles that cost double its price. Currently, brand new Howa 1500s chambered in popular rounds like 6.5 Creedmoor or 308 are selling for $420 to $500. If you are shopping the secondary market, clean used examples are moving between $290 and $400 for cold hammer forged barrel quality and a factory trigger that actively embarrasses rifles twice the price. This platform offers absolutely exceptional value. And there you have it. 7 distinct platforms, engineered for 7 specific use cases, all currently available at price points we have not seen in years. The consumers who truly capitalize on these market cycles are not necessarily those with the largest budgets. They are the ones equipped with the right information. When you understand the underlying engineering and mechanics, you can easily identify the genuine performance value hiding on the rack alongside overpriced safe queens. Now, we want to turn it over to you. Which of these platforms is filling a crucial gap in your current setup? Or, Have you spotted a hidden sleeper deal at your local dealer that did not make this list? Drop the make and model in the comments below. Here at iReview, we rely on community intelligence to track what inventory and pricing you are actually seeing on the ground. Finally, if this breakdown helped clarify your next purchase, consider sharing this video with someone who is still on the fence. You might just save them a few $100s before this pricing window inevitably closes. Stay sharp, buy smart, and we will see you in the next review.